What's going on, everybody? Let me know when you can hear me. Let me know when you can see me. And of course, when you can do both of those things, do me a favor and smash that like button. We'll wait for a couple of people to get in here. I'll wait for confirmation that I'm live. What's going on, everybody? We got Jose in the house, Crypto Ballistics. What's going on, everybody? Here we are on yet another beautiful day in crypto land. Of course, today is a little bit of a mixed emotion day. Nobody likes these pullbacks. Nobody likes these crashes. And everybody's wondering, is this the time that I should be buying? Is this that magical moment that we can now take advantage of when the market has unfairly turned its back on some of our favorite crypto assets? Or is this time to be extremely cautious? Is this time for us to protect these amazing gains in the capital we've created over the last few months? That is the question of the day. And we're going to be looking at a variety of pieces of evidence, pieces of data to try to get to the bottom of this question. And then once we answer that question, the next question is, of course, what should we buy? What are the best buys? And what are the things that are going to essentially give us the most upside? Now, in a moment like this, in a moment that is so wrought with risk and volatility, my feeling is that you don't need to search too far to find good opportunities. The biggest question is it time to buy yet, or is it time for us to protect that capital? And so I'm a big fan of looking for confirmation in the markets. I'm a big fan of data. If you guys have become familiar with this channel over the last few months, you'll know that I look for data to make all of my decisions. And unfortunately, we don't have a ton of data to go on right now because the big sort of, I guess, turning points, inflection points in the market that we're looking at right now, we still haven't had confirmation. We haven't filled the gap. We haven't come down and touched the moving averages or the trend lines that are necessarily indicative of where there would be a big turning place in the market. We're definitely not near my 9K line that I would be looking at to essentially protect all my capital. And so there's just not a ton of, just obvious signs. And that's a bit annoying. And that sort of leaves us in a place where we have to make decisions without data. And I'm not a big fan of that. So we're going to be talking about sort of what I see as what's going on and what I'm doing to prepare for it. So I'm going to go and check in on the chat because today's episode is less about me telling you what to do and more about us interacting and me trying to show you guys a bit of how I navigate. Again, guys, I don't have a crystal ball, but I think I'm pretty good at reading the tea leaves and looking at the cookie crumbs and building some smart hypotheses based on data. And so we have one person saying Crown would argue that we can consider the gap filled. I didn't see Crown say that. If you guys do have confirmation as to whether Crown has said that the gap has been filled, I'm very interested in that. Bro, is Tron good time to invest? Can you explain about TRX? So I will talk about this today. I will talk about what's been going on in DeFi, what's been going on in this sort of echo boom, if you will, if you could call it that, that's been happening on both EOS and Tron, which have started to take up some of the excitement of this DeFi moment that has almost exclusively been housed on Ethereum. Welcome all. Good morning, everybody. What price am I looking for? I'll let you guys know. Bitcoin down 10% for the week, plus 8% for the month. Yes, waiting for $225 ETH. How are you feeling about your previous September picks now that the market has changed? Yeah, I mean, pretty unfortunate that I put up my September picks right before the market completely crashed. I still believe those projects are the ones to be looking at this month. However, I've said this a few times, and I wanted to make this utterly clear, that cycles are cycles, and that no coin and no project and no man is stronger than the cycle. And so it doesn't matter if you have the best projects when the market turns in mass, completely bearish. It's not something that is going to be based on, just because you pick a good coin does not mean that coin will perform under those circumstances. That's just the nature of crypto. I've been through several crashes now at this point, the most painful of which was throughout 2018. And, I hate to admit it, but, the hot dogs and the kimchis and the sushis, our sushi might be a little different, but the yams and all of these random sort of emoji coins, these things did have me really worried. I tweeted about it several times, and yeah, it did remind me a lot of the greed that had infested the market by the end of 2017. The sort of hastily thrown together scammy projects that were starting to occupy tens of millions of dollars in market cap. It felt like at the very least, we needed to clean house and sort of get some of this garbage out the window, guys. And so that's sort of what I feel like, hopefully, on the optimistic side, that's what's happening. We're cleansing the market of some of the trash, some of the stuff that's been, essentially just taking, it's a wealth transfer, those bad projects. Those bad projects are a wealth transfer between you and the whales, because it's very easy to lock a bunch of liquidity up in a smart contract and make something look like it's the next hot thing. And that's what was happening. And I even did a few of these YF clones, what I call sort of degen plays, right? The ones that are just, they pop and they're kind of clones, and then they're hot for a second and then they crash. I got suckered in. I did a couple of them. Like I said, I didn't feature very many on this channel, right? I tried to stay focused on the long-term projects. But that's kind of an indicator, right? That's an indicator of sentiment, right? When people were so greedy that they would pump a project that high that fast. And so this crash, if it is a crash, or this correction, if it is a correction, will hopefully lead to us focusing on projects with long-term value, with long-term contributions from a technological standpoint, from a product standpoint. Of course, in my mind, looking towards the projects that have the ability to bring on mainstream users, or the technologies that serve to onboard mainstream application developers. And believe me, I'm as frustrated as you guys are, because I wanted this DeFi-fueled insanity to keep going forever. But it's undeniable that what was happening over the last few weeks was completely ridiculous. And so having a bit of a crash here, if it stays here, if it continues down further, regardless, it seems like it was part of what was natural. It was part of gravity, given how much hot air had been sort of, bringing this market up. And so we're going to be talking about, of course, the altcoins that got hit the hardest, that if this is an inflection point and if we are to go up from here, these altcoins, of course, I think are some of the best in the space. And so if you missed your entries into the blue chips, into the best projects in the DeFi space and the altcoin space, in the emerging new sort of Web3 space, those are the projects that I think are very interesting. And of course, if you've missed your opportunity to get in, a moment like this, when everything is burning and crashing, is a wonderful time to get in. But I will say that the charts are not particularly optimistic right now. We're not seeing a tremendous bounce. We're not seeing a tremendous rebound off of any of these price levels. And those are sort of the things that you look for to see whether the market has really been oversold. And so when you look for an oversold bounce, that's definitely one of the things you want to see, is a big bounce off of a certain price level. But we haven't seen that very, very much. Say hi to Ben. Hi, Ben. Hi, Ben. I hope this makes you happy. Ben Anderson, I hope that's you. How's it going, Ben? Yeah, we see SushiSwap discount, we see Ren discount, we see Synthetics discount, we see Aave discounts, we see Polkadot discount, we see XDAI stake discount. And so, it's very interesting to see that these are the best projects. These are the ones that we know have a significant through line. They're solving the biggest problems. And of course, we're going to talk about the other ecosystems as well a little bit. So Ben, I hope that's made you happy. If you say hi to Ben again, you're gonna get the ban hammer. Sorry, brother. 984, you guys, do me a favor. I know it's a tough day. I know we've all been through it over the last few days, but it would help us all if we all together smash that like button. So guys, let's dive in here. Let's check out some of these coins. Okay. So first of all, we have to do the obligatory looking at the 2017 crash and showing how there were huge corrections throughout 2017 to the tune of 30% or more at different given periods of time. We have here a crash of 33%, 2 of 33%, pretty big in proportion if you ask me. Another one here of 38%, 18%. So there's been a lot of crashes throughout 2017, throughout this insane bull run. And so I think it's worth looking at these kinds of crashes in 2020. But if you're looking at the Bitcoin chart, yeah, we'll talk about sushi in a second, because that's definitely that's some hot steamy tea to discuss. But yeah, like there is a lot to be seen here, and we're seeing a little bit of holding the line here at 10K. We did see some wicks below about 98.50, it looks like. But looking at this, we're not seeing a convincing bounce here. We're not saying, hey, okay, this thing's going to rocket back up. We did reclaim and sort of go up to test that 10.7 level that I said when we were holding that 10.5 level. We worked our way up. That was based on some TA from Crown. But the reality is that doesn't look like we want to hold this right now. So the question is, do we go down and fill the gap and then make a strong bounce off of there? Do we hover around 10K? Is 10K the sort of new bottom, right? We haven't done, it seems like we're really fighting to hold it. But in the end, I like to base things off data. And, I know for a fact that we together as a community, once this thing turns bullish again, once this market turns bullish again, I know we as a community, we're going to find the gems. We're going to be making amazing gains, triple, quadruples, 10Xs. And so I'm not that worried, to me, about being the biggest and best dip buyer, right? That's one of the things that I think is not my primary focus. A lot of people will say, oh, you need to buy the deepest, darkest dip. And that's certainly one way to go about it, right? Like we see a lot of bounce coming off this 10K level. And as we're going to go through, some of these projects are tremendously on sale. But once we start seeing a real uptick in bullishness, which we haven't quite gotten any confirmation of, I just want to be clear, we haven't seen that confirmation, nor have we seen a breakdown from here, right? No, I don't want a 30-day free trial trading view. No, I don't. So that's sort of where I sit right now, is what we're looking at is this is potentially one of the best buying opportunities for some of the best projects in the space, but I'm not yet pulling the trigger because I haven't gotten confirmation. And I know for a fact that by finding some gems on the next bullish leg, we're going to be able to quickly multiply our capital. The one thing we don't want to do is lose our capital. So I'm approaching probably a little bit more cautiously than I've heard other different opinions in the space. I've also been through many years of this market, and I want to approach things unemotionally. I think that that's the true highest aspiration for being a crypto investor, is to remove your emotion. And so what I want to look for is confirmation of a reversal. Bitcoin hasn't really shown that, though it is showing a nice little hold here at 10K. I hope it holds. And I believe that Bitcoin is a simple and smart investment for the next few years. It just makes sense, right? In a climate where the American economy is just tanking day after day, and we're seeing really no sign of anything to help but more money printing. We did have that one little rally off of the dollar, which is something that really has to be, is it DXY or DYX? Yeah, DXY. So the dollar rally, this is the story right now, is the dollar's been rallying, right? Ever since September started, we had a whopping, and this is going to be funny in percentage-wise, but we had a whopping, what is this, 1.5% rally on the dollar, which is, for a dollar, kind of crazy, right? So that's a big movement, and this is a relief rally. If you zoom out here on the dollar chart, this is not that nice, right? This is a very bad chart. And we still really have yet to touch these previous highs on the previous rallies or show any kind of meaningful trend, change in the trend. And so I came from the future, 20K in 3 weeks. Yep, I certainly hope so. But this is the story that's been happening, is that when the dollar rallies, the dollar is really the inverse indicator for the entire crypto market. And you guys know how much I care about doing macro analysis. And I believe the dollar rallying explains the huge correction in the stock market, in the NASDAQ. Remember, I said that the NASDAQ and Bitcoin have been trading almost in parity. And well, wouldn't it make sense that literally as we experience this crushing blow, we get the same exact thing in the NASDAQ, right? NASDAQ went from literally 12,000 down to, well, I guess they're sitting a little better. They're around 11,000. I think it's kind of funny just seeing Bitcoin and the NASDAQ actually have the almost exact same valuations. So, remember that it's not crypto that's losing its value per se. It's macro factors that ebb and flow. I believe that this dollar rally is almost explains the wind getting taken out of the crypto sales. Now, at the same time, there was a lot of DeFi trash floating around that absolutely needs to get, I believe, cleared out, right? Donald Pump, can you TA link USD? Thanks. I could bring up the chart, but guys, you guys know I'm not a technical analyst. I'm just showing you movements here, but let's look at link USD. Let's do that. Ooh. Ooh, ouch. Ouchie, ouchie. Yeah, so Link is really struggling here, and it's also part of it is that this thing had a parabolic run-up of billions of dollars, and so now it's correcting down, and it's getting probably oversold certainly soon. We saw a nice little bounce here. Guys, this isn't really my bag here to do a lot of technical analysis. You can't really do a lot of TA on a parabolic movement as well. It's like when something doesn't have price history and it's in price discovery. What are you supposed to do TA on? Like, look, this is just a total moonshot. There's maybe one bounce of support here. There's one little place of resistance here where it bounced off of. Another one where it bounced off of. Probably going to come down and test this 8.9. And then the next levels look like it's about at the $7 range. But really, before you get to price history, you're going to be looking at something around $5 before there's really strength in the chart. So if you're asking me on a technical standpoint, there's not much to go on Link before it starts going down to the $5 range where it actually has price history. And if you guys don't know a lot about TA, it's all about price history, right? And so when you have a new asset with not a lot of price history, and especially when it gets into uncharted territory like this, TA is not so useful. But anyway, so that's my feeling, is that right now we're seeing the dollar rally is really taking a lot of the froth out of the crypto run, and that we need to wait and see. But if we start breaking down below the CME gap, like I said, $9,000, that's going to be my tether up level where I really just hop everything into stable coins. And like I said yesterday, I limited my exposure to a lot of the smaller alts because I believed that they were going to fall much, much harder than Ethereum and Bitcoin. And, I was right. I was right. Unfortunately, I don't like to be right, guys. I don't like to be right about these things. But and then Ethereum getting a nice little pop back up to 330, and Bitcoin really barely moving over the last 24 hours, just a couple of percent down. Whereas if we look at most of the alts here, we're having 30-something% drops, 20% drops, and so it's been a pretty bloody day for a lot of these alts. That's the moment we're in, is we're looking for confirmation, and make no mistake, these bull runs happen in different little waves. And if we're going to look back at the 2017 bull run, what we want to look at is essentially the market cap. I don't know if they have the dominance chart on CoinGecko, but if we go to CoinMarketCap, what we can see here is that the market cap, after Bitcoin had its big drop. Bitcoin had its huge drop the last week or the second to last week of December in 2017. But what you'll see here is that the cryptocurrency market caps, you'll see it right here, I believe. Yeah, this is the big Bitcoin drop, right? This is where Bitcoin had its big fall off the cliff. And it had its fall December 22nd. I think that sounds about right. And so there was this sort of ebb and flow here, but then the alts rocketed, right? The alts rocketed. And this was... you could look at this in a few different ways. The way I look at this was essentially the big bag holders that realized after Bitcoin got rejected off of the parabolic movement, that realized that Bitcoin needed to correct a huge amount before it could make its move back up. I think that this was, if I was to look at this through a cynical lens, I would say that this was the whales pumping up the smaller coins and then, dumping on the smaller bag holders. And so that's sort of the sad part about what happens here is whales are not really your friends, guys. They're not your friends. And so when you see that there's hundreds of millions of dollars being locked up in kimchi or whatever, and you wonder how that happens, that could be like one or two guys that just do that, right? And then they sucker in a bunch of people, and then they go ahead and take their profits and move their value. And so that's kind of what happened here in 2018. And I'm hoping if I see the alts, if I see Bitcoin essentially get knocked down and I see it crash really significantly, and then I see these alts start to really rocket, that'll be my worry, is that the alts will essentially be, bigger bag holders trying to cash out. So that's the negative view. The positive view is that we hold this line. The positive view is that we hold the current line that we're on, and that we kind of start to just build new bases of support. We fill the gap, we stay in the 9,000s or above 10,000 for Bitcoin. Maybe we wick down and fill the gap. And then we build a nice base of support around 10K and build off of there and slowly grind our way up. That would be the bullish case. And in that case, I could see the alt really starting to make moves. But make no mistake, you don't need to be the first person in the world to spot this opportunity. The opportunity will become, I think, quite obvious over the next couple of days, which direction things are going. And so, yes, this is definitely the best buying opportunity for things like synthetics. I mean, Ren is coming down into the 20 cents, I think, which is, to me, amazing. I love Ren. I love what it's doing for bridging Bitcoin into other ecosystems. Short-term, long-term price prediction for Chainlink. Yeah, so you guys seem to want some Link TA right now. I'll think about that. But like I said, the low end would be I would see it come down and test that $5 range. High end, I don't see Chainlink popping off again until we get a little bit more bullishness here. Why'd I click on Elrond? So, come on, bring me back to the charts. Okay, so the way I see this is, in these types of moments, you want to focus on, okay, if you're getting huge price discounts, let's focus on getting the highest quality stuff, right? So let's look, looking at Band Protocol, which we'll talk about in a second, which I think is not a bad product, but Serum getting absolutely crushed. Like I said, I'm excited for what Serum's got coming up. Ocean getting crushed, Ren getting crushed, Kusama finally getting crushed. Sorry guys, Kusama has not taken a pullback in what feels like forever. If Kusama, I know this is ridiculous, but if Kusama makes its way down to about $10 is when I'll become excited about it buying. That's for, don't ask me why. That's just my internal gut. YFI, honestly, holding pretty strong. I think YFI is probably held fairly strong compared to a lot of these other alts. Aave and Lend, again, these are really good projects. So if this dip continues, but Bitcoin's able to hold its line, able to hold and show that it's not dipping below 9K, that it's not going for another huge range down lower, then I could see some really interesting plays of these DeFi majors starting to really take off and build strength. And then speaking of the DeFi majors and speaking of what's happening with DeFi, what we need to talk about is essentially the ETH crisis that has occurred over the last few weeks, right? Where, it's no secret. When ETH, let's look at ETH gas station right now. ETH gas station, yeah, so this dipped significantly, but this was up here in the 500s. I think it was in the thousands. I don't know if it was in the thousands, but just ridiculous, right? The ETH fees are just ridiculous. And so when this happens, this kind of brought back the issues that we were seeing happen in 2017. It was really for the first time because people were getting so hilariously rich on Uniswap that it didn't matter the $20 fee. It didn't matter the $30 fee. But when you started getting back-to-back $50, $60 failed transaction fees, that starts to become, even if you're trading big bags, ridiculous, right? And it essentially prices out all the small players, and it just grinds the ecosystem to a halt. And it sort of takes all of this excitement and energy around Uniswap and Ethereum, and it says, well, how can we keep the party going? Because degens, they need to degen, if there's one thing we know for sure. And so then we saw the explosion of things like Pearl Finance on Tron, and we saw the explosion of some EOS DeFi projects. And so what I think I would predict, right, is if we get another big wave, of this DeFi rush, and we're able to bounce off this 10K, mid 9K level on Bitcoin, build some strength there. Ethereum, obviously Ethereum has almost capitulated at this point. So I don't think, I'm not looking for it to, let's see. So in this mess, right, where we're seeing that potentially Bitcoin holds its line here and we want to keep the DeFi energy going, well, DeFi can be done on any platform. And as we've seen with the YF clones, with the yield farming platforms, essentially what you need is just people are going to rapidly replicate the ecosystems that were taking root on Ethereum and bring them to ecosystems that are more scalable. So that's what you saw with the sort of Tron Echo and the EOS Echo. And of those, I think there's much more interesting projects from what I could tell on EOS. However, the reality is that EOS just has a little bit of an onboarding user adoption problem. It's not that bad. You just get the scatter wallet. But there are a few projects on EOS that I could see if this thing comes back being exciting, and I'll be making a video about those in the near future. ETH Classic popping right now. Yeah, maybe, but yeah, so that's the thing is I'm going to bring myself back to a full view here. What's going on right now is we're seeing right now whether this was a bubble being burst, which I certainly hope not, because we're having so much fun and the future is really bright if we keep this going, which I believe we will, right? Because the macro factors haven't changed. Bitcoin is still much more sound currency, much more of a sound value storage than US dollars. The US economy, they need to print money. There's just no two ways about it. And so that money printing is going to inevitably make its way via the Cantillon effect, which we've talked about, into the richest and most powerful, and they're going to look to create gains. And as long as the dollar slows down and weakens, then we can see a continuation here. And I believe that that's the most likely scenario. However, we still haven't had the new stimulus bill. Remember, I talked to you guys about how on July 31st, that stimulus dried up, and we were expecting a rapid replacement here. So we'll have to see what happens when they come back into session next week on the 9th of September, I believe, is the beginning of negotiations again. And if they're able to pass some stimulus, then I could see a rapid resumption of this DeFi-fueled bull run. And so once we get that confirmation, I think we can look for some resumption of the DeFi majors, right? The synthetics, the RENs, the Aves, the Lens rather, the real core protocols that are running the show here, YFI as well. But then we're also going to understand that, are we going to repeat the same mistake and get ourselves in a position where no one can make a transaction, put a transaction through? I think there's a big argument that we see a spillover into the more scalable, more set up protocols like EOS and Tron, right? And so that's going to be interesting. I think there's way less trust in Tron, and for good reason, right? And so I think EOS is going to kind of take the lead there, is my guess. And so I have some projects on EOS that I'll be covering, given that we have a bullish resumption here, because if we don't get a bullish resumption, if things don't hold here, then it doesn't matter where the best DeFi projects are. I believe that it's going to be a lot of pain for these projects if we don't get some stability back. That's just the reality. Cycles are cycles, and it's better not to become emotional about these things because you start to see things through rose-colored glasses. And I want you guys looking at things the way they are, not the way you hope they are. And so that's kind of my approach, right? Is we're going to look for confirmation, whether this is bullish or bearish. Unfortunately, we don't have that. But once we do, not everything is going to rocket all at once, right? It'll be one thing, then the next thing, the next thing. And so for me, you'll have some time to figure out which of these majors you want to get your hands on at a discount. And then once we get a nice bullish resumption, we can start talking about gems again. And so that's why I'm not worried, is if we get a bullish resumption again, I know that together we're going to kill it. So it's going to be amazing. And I'm not feeling a FOMO here of needing to buy into the deepest red number right now, because we don't have a confirmation on either side. And we also don't have confirmation about macro factors like stimulus. There are a lot of balls in the air. But I think the US dollar rally pretty much explains the wind being taken out of the sails. Obviously, we had a bunch of BS floating through the ecosystem of late. And on that note, let's actually go back here and let's talk about one of the more fun ones, which is, of course, since researching this morning, we found out that someone actually doxed Chef Nomi, the sushi chef. And I'm not actually seeing here how they doxed them. I'm not sure. They linked the personal GitHub. But this is the co-founder of Band Protocol. And apparently this person's co-founder at Band confirmed that they're Chef Nomi, but I don't know. I don't know here. Based on the Twitter here, it seems as though this is the guy, that this is the sushi chef. This is your man's, guys. This is the one who dumped on you all. And I think it's time for us to discuss what the state of crypto is based upon sushi, right? Because sushi, this was an obvious play, fork Uniswap, add a token model, and reward LPs, reward liquidity providers, and distribute the token fairly, with a 10%, dev cut, because you gotta get paid, right? And so this was an obvious play, of course, that someone with some significant sophistication in the industry could take advantage of, and did, apparently. If you guys have any idea whether or not I'm bang on about this, you can throw it in the chat. Let me know if this is actually, if you guys have any counter information, right? I'm just going off of like a Twitter feed I saw, so I haven't dug into this too much. But apparently this man's was the one who dumped all of his sushi, and claims that he's doing it because he cares, which I don't know what that means. You guys tell me. Do you guys know what that means? Because I don't know what that means. But also, there's something to be said here about the larger implications of just where the industry is. The fact that sushi can get listed on Binance within days of its creation. And whereas CZ and Binance have historically claimed that the Binance listing process is so hard, it's so rigorous, it's so detailed and data-driven. But then we get a DeFi mania, and CZ's actively tweeting saying the market's gone crazy and this DeFi stuff doesn't make sense. But then you list sushi within days. It just doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Maybe sushi is going to moon. Maybe this is him dumping so that he can put money into the project. Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, if you're the co-founder of Band Protocol, one of the biggest moonshots of the entire DeFi wave, Band sitting, let's see what Band is sitting at right now. Band, I guess it took a pretty big hit, but they had a market cap of 160 million. Let me see what their peak market cap was, because this thing absolutely mooned. Yeah, they peaked out here at, $350 million. Yep, this guy doesn't need to be dumping his sushi. He's paid. Like, this guy has made plenty of money, and so I think of it as pretty sad that this sushi guy would dump on his people. But then again, maybe it's our fault, right? Maybe it's the community's fault for believing in an anon, right? And that's just the way it goes, right? You need to have your eyes wide open when you're doing these, and who knows? Like I said, who knows? Maybe this guy's going to come back and deliver the most impactful product of 2020. It's hard to say. But for me, to summarize my thoughts right now, we have no, thank you, TradingView. I will not be subscribing to your premium. BTC USD getting a little green here on this daily candle, holding the line. Like I said, there's no signs of a reversal just yet. There's no signs that this is going to go just any further just yet. We haven't filled the infamous gap just yet. And so if you're asking me, is it the perfect time to buy? Could be. In hindsight, it'll be easier to tell, right? But for right now, if I was to buy, I'd be buying the majors. I'd be buying things that have clear narratives, upward trajectory, and a huge amount of value to deliver. Like I said, Polkadot coming down to the levels before where I said I didn't want to get involved with it because it had run away too much. Maybe if it comes down to $3, I'll be getting some DOT. But, I think that this is still coming down and correcting. But DOT is not a bad one, right? If DOT delivers on their promise, this thing's going to be worth a whole lot more than it is today. YFI, again, I was pretty impressed as to how well YFI held. I thought this thing was going to come down really hard, but it didn't. So congrats to YFI. I think YFI would be a not so stupid buy if this is the dip buying moment. Synthetics, Kava had a nice, I think they're about 50% down from their highs. If I have this right, I believe they were topping out above $4. Kava was a really strong performer on my August list. All right, my computer doesn't want to load it. Kusama starting to look juicy, but I want to see it under 20, to be honest. It just has been so strong. It just needs to come down, Kusama. Kusama is a very interesting part of the Polkadot network. Very interesting indeed. Ren, I want my dark node. On Ren. So seeing this thing come down even more, I believe when the bull phase returns, this thing is going to rocket, right? Because this is such a critical resource. Getting Bitcoin, the one coin that has probably the biggest value prop in the entire world, which is sound money, and it's going to become so useful in all these other ecosystems, DeFi ecosystems on Ethereum, EOS, Tron, Polkadot, everything, right? And so Ren's very useful for that. That's also why I'm bullish on Chainx, who's just an earlier player in that party. Serum, the most interesting, probably the best derivatives DEX, decentralized derivatives DEX. Like I said, guys, derivatives are worth $1 quadrillion. So this at $100 million. How much to get it to $1 billion? It would have to 10x. It would have to 10,000x, right, to get to the derivatives market, size of the derivatives market. I'm sorry, no, it would have to 10 million x to get to the size of the derivatives market. All right, so this is an interesting project. I wasn't actually going to talk about it yet. I just had the tab up. Looking at interesting projects on the EOS, in the EOS ecosystem. I haven't made a video about these yet. I guess I'm on live, so I'm making a video now. But these, there's some interesting stuff happening on EOS, right? And I'm not putting my stamp on these yet at all. But I'm doing research, right? Because what we're seeing on Ethereum is that really ground the party to a halt, these fees. And so people are going to be looking for the next best ecosystem to go play ball in, and Polka is just not there yet. It's not live yet. It's not happening yet. So EOS, I think, compared to Tron, Tron just doesn't have any credibility. They've really shot their credibility. Does that mean that people won't go to Tron? I think people will still go to Tron because the degens don't care. But as far as a larger who's going to take a larger brunt of this, I think it's going to happen on EOS and these sort of new DEX, which is their Uniswap and the certain tokens over there. They're going to take a big portion of that. The ones I just clicked on are ones I've been checking out. Nope. Yeah, this one as well was on my radar. What else we got here? Yeah, Darwinia Network, interested in them. Want to see how low this comes down, and again, that could be a good steal up during this dip. But yeah, that's sort of where my head's at, is that we haven't really had a confirmation one way or the other. Bitcoin has not given us a clear trajectory, and if anything, this just confirms what we saw when it fell out of this channel, which is that it's going to come down and hopefully fill the gap and bounce. And so that's what I'm, hoping as the optimistic situation. And once it does that, we'll have plenty of time to get amazing positions, and there will be plenty of new projects and plenty of undervalued tech. And so there's plenty of meat on the bone. I'm not having FOMO here. I'm not. And so if this is the optimistic scenario, great. If this is not the optimistic scenario, I don't want you guys riding in in your altcoins, because those are going to get crushed. That's what happens on these market pullbacks, is the alts get crushed harder than BTC and ETH. It's just how it happens. And so, capital preservation is great. I'd rather you guys preserve capital so that when we know that the bull run is on, we can go back to work and go back to the formula. But for now, unfortunately, no clear direction yet. And so if you are going to buy, I'd say stick with the sort of DeFi blue chips. And then if you're going to there's no cowardice here if you're going to protect some of the capital and move into stable coins. All right, guys, let's get to the chat. 1,794. I think this is the most people I've ever had on live. Thank you guys so much. If you guys could go ahead and smash the like, I'd really appreciate it. And go ahead and fire off your questions. Fire them off to me, because I'll be doing a long Q&A before we hop off here. YFV, scam exit? Did it? Is there a YFV scam? I wasn't aware, guys, if that was the case. I didn't see any news of a scam exit on YFE, so I don't know. Let me see if they still have value locked. So yeah, the TVL went down a lot, but that's not necessarily an exit, right? They still have almost 300 million locked, right? So I don't know. Spam, all right. Huge coin. I actually have never heard of huge coin. Unipump. I think I looked at that. I don't think. Staffy. I think this one's interesting. Let me throw Staffy on here and see what's going on. Staffy. crypto. We got a super chat. Yes, I am still holding my YF beta, right? The YF beta, that was the only good news, right? That was the only good news in this whole crash, was that YF beta seems to be holding really strong. And again, this is me, YF beta, I call this a Spidey sense thing, right? Crypto knowledge is based upon a variety of factors, but one of the things that you need to understand is that by building your crypto network and by building a group of smart people around you for you to vet new information, there's so much new information in a bull run that you can't possibly internalize it all yourself. So you need to have funnels. And yeah, my guy Lucky was right. I don't know if he was lucky or good, but better lucky than good. So YF beta just looking strong, and yeah, I am still holding it, and I'm luckily holding it. So hopefully this goes on and continues on upward. Maybe it'll pop up to, you know, a few $1,000s, maybe even 10K, who knows? But I would imagine that this thing starts to get hit as well if this bull run, or if Bitcoin breaks down again. I would imagine that this thing gets hit pretty hard until Bitcoin stabilizes a little bit, and then the alts can start doing their thing again. But we need to wait and see. Because in the meantime, this thing could easily come down. Like you saw, it had this huge drop from 1,800 down to, well, it dropped more than that, I thought. Yeah, before it was even on, it was up above 1,500, I think, before it was even on CoinGecko, and then came down here. Ban protocol, Telegram, admin, defending sushi, exit scam now. Welcome to crypto in 2020, guys. Elio, do you think the DeFi narrative still holds now with the BTC dump? So yes, so BTC dump doesn't affect the DeFi narrative. I don't think that. DeFi narrative will continue. However, if the markets as a whole turn extremely bearish along with the stock market, then that puts us in a whole new ballpark, right? That puts us in a new league of markets starting to tank, and big wallets, big whales, in the stock market as well as the crypto markets, probably looking to protect capital, which is nothing nice. So that's a possibility. However, we don't have confirmation of any of that yet. If Bitcoin stabilizes below 9K and gets boring again, then I think DeFi pops off again, right? I think DeFi pops off again. Oin Finance, OIN by Ontology. So yeah, so this is another one, right? You'll see all the other scalable Ethereum killers are now going to start lining up to try to take that spot because they've seen the weakness in Ethereum scalability. We've seen the weakness in essentially just the using MetaMask on Uniswap. We've just seen that the fees are crippling this. So on the next wave, I'm expecting a lot more activity to happen on these other chains. That's the next phase, I believe, of the DeFi narrative, is that it becomes bigger than just Ethereum. That's my guess. Ron, $5. Gecko. I'm not sure what you're asking there, but thanks for the super chat. Esprit, someone super chatted. Belated. Yeah, I'm not so familiar. This is like the governance coin for other governance coins for CBDAO. I'm not sure I fully get it. Falcon Swap. Like I said, we're waiting on the product launch. They're making partnerships and doing announcements, and for some reason, they're still the #1 trending coin on CoinGecko. Which I think is maybe a little bit overrated for the moment they're in, but we'll see. If they're able to deliver, then it's going to be an amazing hold for those who have it. Acro, people missed out on OON. ADEL. Yeah. Acro Delphi or ADEL, Acropolis Delphi, definitely one on my radar. Again, when these huge crushing sort of moments happen, though, and you see some of the best coins that have these, I guess, have less risk than the tiny coins, like Acropolis itself gets knocked down, that's a little more exciting than ADEL. But ADEL still seems chill. Seems interesting. I haven't dug in deep enough to give you guys a full breakdown. Is it too late to get a bag of Bencoin? I don't even know what that is. Bencoin. No, I'm not getting any results. Sorry about that. Thanks for the super chat, though. Lena Caro, thank you for the super chats. Toward Bulls. Thank you for the super chat. What about Bidao? I don't know. Are they out yet? Has Bidao done their thing yet? I don't think ByDao has published their product yet. We've been waiting for them to put out their product, and we'll have to see. We will have to see. Yeah, it doesn't look like they're any further than the last time I checked. We will see. Why not trust Tron? It's Justin. It's Justin. Justin's credibility is just very low because he's just consistently lied about partnerships and stuff. That's the problem with Tron, is that people don't want to be associated with Justin. But the product actually works really well. Tron's chain is really easy to use. It's actually a great user experience. It's just the Tron leadership doesn't get it. Okay. What else we got here? Tixel holding up. Yeah, Tixel's an interesting one. ERC20 bridge. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Again, guys, like I said, I'm going to reiterate this for everyone who's new because we have 1,700 people. I don't think all you guys saw this. My mentality is on these dips, you have such good entry points into the best projects. And we know that in this bull run, the DeFi narrative is the defining narrative. It's the defining narrative, right? That's it. And so we know that the DeFi projects are going to come back extremely strong when this bull cycle ticks back on again. So I would sort of want to be putting my assets into the most exciting DeFi projects, the monsters that maybe you missed your opportunity to get into. And so right now it seems like Bitcoin is stalling with a lot of downward momentum. And so if it continues to move down, I would see another leg down in those alts. And that's what I'm sort of getting geared up for, is I'm looking at that $9,000 range. As I said several videos, multiple videos ago now, that's what I've been looking for, and it hasn't come true yet. I said this when we fell off of our trajectory at the $12,000 region. Let me actually bring up that video right now just so you guys can see. I'll show my receipts here. I called this about 2 weeks ago or something, that it looks like we're headed down to fill the CME gap. Bitcoin price drop exact target, and this was what my sort of understanding was, is that we need to go down and fill this gap. And so here we are. Do I bring out the charts here? Yes, I do. Here we are. This is back in August 25th. I will share my screen here. And yeah, here it is. Bitcoin exact price target. You can see the circle here is that CME gap right at 9,600. And so we still haven't seen it, right? We still haven't seen a fill of this gap. If we fill that, bounce off it, and start turning bullish, then we can start talking about all these juicy alts. But I think that right now, you know, historically speaking, at least, the alts will get crushed really hard if Bitcoin doesn't hold up. So that's sort of what I want to put out there for you guys. If we do turn, or if Bitcoin becomes boring again, or if we turn bullish again, then these alts are going to bounce so hard it's going to make your head spin. And it's going to give you plenty of opportunity to react, I believe. Plenty of opportunity. CME will be closed till Tuesday. That's true. Elliot, can you show your short band? Show how to short band with a stop loss on Binance. Yeah, maybe. I think I could do that. I need to check to make sure that that's legal for me to show how to short and long on Binance. I don't know if I don't know if Americans are supposed to be trading on Binance right now. There will be a monster trap here, smoke out the bears. Yeah, let's hope. I certainly hope. The bull market's way more fun than the bear market, guys. I've been making content here in crypto land for 3 years. And this last, sort of June through August, June through August, was the most fun, most profits, most exciting moment that we've ever had here. And so believe me, no one wants this to turn bullish more than I do. But I'm trying to equip you with the tools to manage it. I'm not trying to equip you with my version of what the reality is. I'm trying to equip you with the ABC scenario so you can react, That's my goal, and I think that gives you the best opportunity to deal with what's happening right now. I heard about the speculative AMM looking at DexG stuff is insane. Yeah, so this is the next target, right? Everyone's going to be trying to make their own automated market makers. Based made an automated market maker. We got Sushi. The amount of attacks on Uniswap will be huge. We have dexes like Just Swap on Tron. We have dexes like New Dex on EOS. And so there's going to be a lot of competition to sort of fill that Uniswap position, because that is clearly a position of tremendous importance. And if you're asking me, I think we're going to see aggregators become incredibly important, because liquidity is going to start getting split up a bit, which is not actually that good for the ecosystem, but hopefully it'll lead to a better ecosystem that doesn't grind to a halt like we saw over the last few weeks. So clearly we're not ready for the mainstream. If a couple thousand degens can grind Ethereum to a halt, it's not a good sign. So again, it reiterates, it brings back the narrative for the scalable Ethereum killers that have previously, just been floundering. BTC can get down to 8,800. BTC can get down to any price. It's just a matter of what it will get down to. Yo, man, what do you think about Polkadot? Polkadot, again, is the most interesting other narrative besides DeFi, which it really thrives on the issues that's been going on. And if anything, this Ethereum sort of failure, if you were to call it that, of gas, would make Polkadot's narrative all that much stronger. The only problem is Polkadot's not live yet. It's not doing the things we want it to do yet. So once it starts doing those things, we'll have a much better idea of what the future holds for Polkadot. But it feels, I was waiting for it to slow down because it felt a little bit overbought, a lot of it overbought. So I'll be looking to get a bigger bag of things like Polkadot, things like Kusama, if this dip does take another big leg down. My dinghy hurts. Yes, I hold YFE. I hold all my September picks. But it's, we all got hit, guys. We all got hit big time. It's unfortunate, right? Because September, literally the day after September started, we got crushed. Thank you for telling me about YF Beta honestly saving my portfolio. Nyko KZN, my pleasure, man. Like I said, I'm not going to be right about all of them. I'm not going to be wrong about all of them. Pearl Finance. Again, like I said, guys, this is just degens moving over from one spot to the next, right? It's just degens moving around. I think Pearl was created by Tron itself, like, honestly. I think, yeah, that's my theory. Polka Thought. 1,700, 1,800 of you guys. Shout out, you guys make this journey so special. Honestly, the crypto community is what makes me so bullish on the movement, is that we have a huge and growing group of people who understand the impact of the products that we're creating here, the impact of the technologies and what they can do for the next wave of our societies. Our society is being put to the test. Our monetary policies are being put to the test. Our voting systems are being put to the test. Our understandings of political parties are being put to the test. What we feel are universal human rights are being put to the test. And so I think that there's going to be a huge change to our society, our world coming. And I think crypto and blockchain are going to be the underpinnings of that change. They do what Charles Hoskinson was talking about on yesterday's episode that I showed that clip. They allow for power to move to the edges. They allow for communities to govern themselves in a brave new way. And so I think that we are in a very interesting and transitional moment, and that in the long term, crypto is going to win. Blockchain is going to win, and it's going to help a lot of people along the way. But for right now, we're looking at a potential pause button, a potential hold on this as we see the dollar rally, as we don't see essentially very strong underlying economics in the economy, as we don't see a lot of reasons why we should be in a bull run or a bubble. But now we're seeing essentially, okay, if we can clear out the trash and the scams and people can en masse start to turn to the things that are going to empower our society to move forward, well, I think that's a very good thing, a very good thing. But when you have things like kimchi hitting $500 million, it's not very promising, right? It shows that there needed to be some kind of correction. It's just not, it didn't make sense. Didn't make sense. Everything will pump, even the worst coins. It's probably true, unfortunately. RSR, big on RSR. They were on my August list. I think they do I think they're a great stablecoin project and a needed resource for DeFi. All right. All right, guys. So just to recap here, 1,700 people watching. Thank you guys so much again for stopping by. We're doing something incredibly special here. And this does remind me of the energy that was in the community in 2017. It reminds me of a lot of things. It also reminds me of some of the junk that came out in 2017. So hopefully this isn't our 2018 moment. Hopefully we get a lot more legs to this bull run and we make new Bitcoin all-time highs by the end of the year. We get another batch of stimulus. But for right now, I don't want you guys blowing all your capital on what you think is the coin that's going to moon the hardest. Because we'll have plenty of time to get those gains once this thing turns fully bullish again. So my policy right now is a wait and see. And, you know, I'm mostly in the majors, some stables. And my mentality going forward is going to be to wait and see if Bitcoin can hold that $9,000 level. Yes, YF Beta does have very strong tokenomics. In the end, we don't have confirmation, so I can't give you a hard and fast rule, and this very well might be the buying opportunity of the century. However, I believe that there is a high likelihood that we take another step down. That's just the reality. There's a high likelihood of that. There's a high likelihood that we fill the gap, and there's a high likelihood that we struggle a little bit to see if Bitcoin can really bounce and overcome that 10K, that 12K resistance again. But as we start to see those things start to take place, DeFi is going to be absolute rocket ship. And so we have that to look forward to. But again, I'd want you guys to be more in the mindset of preserving capital right now, because if you preserve that capital, you'll have plenty to go and get your 5, 10, 20Xs once this thing turns back on again. But for right now, you know, I don't want anybody losing 80% of their capital when things are so choppy right now. So there will be people who will catch the knife. There will be people on Twitter who make the call, right? But you don't know if they really bought. You don't know how much they bought. And so, you know, people will claim that they were the perfect knife catcher and that they saw this drop exactly as it was and timed it perfectly. But don't let that FOMO drive you to do something that you really don't know what the outcome of is. So I like to try to equip you guys with tools and strategies. And so that's how I'm viewing it, is we have almost no confirmation. And once we do have confirmation, bullish or bearish, that'll inform our next series of moves, whether it is to tether up into stable coins. Some of you, if you're better at doing sort of leverage trading, might consider shorting. Or if we get some more bullish momentum, we stabilize here. Now we can see, okay, let's see what really good coins haven't popped back off their lows yet. And those are going to be our prime targets to start catching up and catching our bounces. So remember, there's always going to be, you know, nothing happens all at once. Nothing happens in a single moment. It happens in phases and waves. And so we have a lot to look forward to, and you'll have plenty of time to react, and we'll be giving you plenty of information to react with when the time is right. I'm going to catch up on just a few comments here. Chico, crypto. I don't know what that means. Shout out to Chico, though. All right, guys. That's it for me. I don't really have any more FOMO coin. It's pumping right now. Nice. Yeah, so like I said, guys, if I was to be buying right now, I'd be buying the DeFi majors. I'm looking for more confirmation. I'll be checking back in with you guys, obviously, each and every day, helping you guys navigate this. And if that's of value to you guys, I sincerely hope it is. Do me a favor and smash that like button. Of course, if you're not subscribed yet, you're not going to be knowing when I'm putting out these calls. So I highly encourage you, in these crazy times where the video, if you don't see it, maybe an hour makes a big difference. So I encourage you guys to hit that little bell notification. If you don't hit the bell notification, you very well might miss a very important piece of information, a very important video. So I encourage you guys to hit that bell. It's very critical. Also, if you guys want to be entered to win a Ledger Nano S, each and every comment is entered to win, but you got to be subscribed. If you're not subscribed, I see a lot of these commenters, you guys want to win the Ledger, but you're not subscribed. So you got to subscribe if you want to win the Ledger. As usual, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. It's been my absolute pleasure to connect with you guys, even during these crazy red days. I hope you guys are staying safe, and I hope this episode helped you in some way or another. As usual, my name's EllioTrades, and I'll see you very soon on the next episode.